Very true. And you and I look at things differently because we're different age groups. We were brought up differently, different continents. And one thing that I've noticed is we all see it differently. One thing that my parents did well was hold your head up, be proud. Even though I wore clothes that were considered dirty and low class, I still was a proud man. My dad and my uncles in the 50s and the 60s went to school in England, the US, and they all did real well. So I knew at an early age they might think we're dumb, but we're not dumb. We're one of the smartest in the world. This is I'm not going to say black people are the smartest in the world, but I knew we can do whatever we wanted to do. That's the kind of stuff that my parents, you know, indirectly told me. So when I went to college and I was picking up all these different trades, I made sure I was the fastest and the best when it came to quality. So I worked hard and I knew I was doing well because my bosses liked what I did. So I felt like even though I wasn't like a white collared like my dad, my uncle, and my siblings, I knew I succeeded in my trade. And so I knew there's nothing I can't do. I had that kind of a feeling and I took on challenges. I eventually ran my own company here initially in California, and then I moved up here in 94 and I ran my own company. And I was asked to join the Black Contractors Alliance, Oregon Entrepreneurs, OAMI. And I remember joining it. I was happy to join other brothers and sisters, and that looked like me, brown, black, Asian. But one thing that I wasn't willing to do was I wasn't willing to sign up as a minority. That in a way, you know, a lot of people frown at that, but I came from a different background. I came from an area where we're too proud. We're not going to pick up other people's crumbs. If they want to hire us, they should hire us for our skill and not because we're black and not that they, help them get points. So that's one thing I felt like I did that was against the grain. And there was no African American contractor at that time in Northeast Portland that wouldn't jump on the idea of being able to get a minority status and number. So it's hard to get that number, first of all. And once you got it, then all these big time white contractors or the city of Portland or housing authority of Portland would hire you because they could benefit from that number. And that used to really yeah, make
Yeah,
me
I can
upset,
see that.
you know?
So
And
so my question is, I know you told me a story about how the city of Portland was going to hire you to do like 5 years worth of sidewalks, right, repairs,
yeah,
because they assumed that you had the minority status, and then once you told them that you didn't, then they just pretty much canceled all talks, like the negotiations were over, right? Do you regret that? Do you regret turning that down, or do you feel like that
never,
was a good decision?
never. And so that was, I eventually left that group because I wasn't participating in that, and I was looked down, and a lot of African American leaders thought I was making a big mistake, and I just thought I need to get away. I need to go find my own thing because at that time, like I was saying, I was going against the grain. I was mad that the city of Portland wouldn't hire me because I was already doing sidewalk repairs. I was running my own company and I was doing it for the city of Portland. People were getting cited for the sidewalks being unsafe, so they were getting ticketed from the city. I was doing repairs. They were coming out and inspecting it. They knew who I was, and I only did one job. It was at the train station. I did the handicap ramps, ADA ramps for the sidewalks. So they had to bring it up to code, and I did that. That's only one little job I did, and that was because I think it was a private firm that may have hired me, but they were trying to entice me or just trying to get me in to do a 5 year worth of work, but they're going to benefit from me. And so I said, why don't you just hire me? Because if you're not going to hire me, you're going to end up hiring a white contractor, and they're not giving you any benefit. They're not giving you a number to benefit off of. So if you're eventually going to just give to somebody and not get credit for it, why don't you try me? And they just basically walked away from me, you know. So it's like I'm used to scratching my head and walking away thinking this is messed up, and that's not new to me. I've seen that from the child, from the baby, all the way up to an adulthood. So when things like that happen, I just have to go somewhere else.
Yeah,
That's not my road. I have to find a different road. Um, so I'm not here to pick up your crumbs. I'm as good as you are. I might even be better than you. So, you know, leave it at that. I'm going to walk away with my head up.
for sure. And I think that's something that I think a lot of minorities are going to struggle with. Like, am I getting this job because I deserve it, or am I getting this job solely because of affirmative action? And am I like the token minority person on the job where people are going to look at you weird because they feel like you didn't really deserve it? And I think it takes like a lot of courage to turn down like pretty much like you're turning down help, right? Like where they're saying like we're going to give you a leg up. It takes like a lot of courage and a lot of like internal fortitude to say, you know what, I don't need the help. I can do this myself. And I know that you're not doing this for the right reasons. Like you're not hiring me because now there's no benefit to you. Like if you were hiring on somebody on like a meritocratic level, like just the best person from the job, well, I qualify for that too. So
Yeah.
not only am I black, but I'm also one of the best people for the job. And the fact that you're not going to hire me now really speaks more volumes to like what you really care about, right? Because now that I'm not a benefit to you as far as like
Hmm.
tax breaks or filling a quota, now now I can't help you. And I feel like that's a major issue someone with to grapple with too, like where what these companies that so much focus on diversity, are they doing it for the right reasons? Because sometimes they have these quotas where they send out these newsletters like we're going to increase diversity by 10 to 15%, and then by the year 2030 we're going to have 50% this or whatever. But like if the benefits weren't there, would they still be doing these things? And that's the real question of like, what are your intentions? Because if it's just to put a black face in a seat, well then if they don't care about how good you are, then you're easily replaceable. And so I don't think a person who does care about their craftsmanship or does care about the quality of work they do, they don't want to just be given a job just because they're a black face. Because if that's the case, you're easily replaceable with another black face, right? If it's not anything about like the merit of your quality of work. So I think that's something that's important too. Like it may seem good, like okay, just get black people in here, but if black people are the only requirement, or Hispanic or woman is the only requirement for the job title, then you're easily replaceable with either somebody younger or somebody cheaper that fits those same bills. So I don't think that we want to just get things just for the sake of getting things, because there's unintended consequences that you may not see right now on the surface that will rear its ugly head later on. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. No. I like the way you put it. You um, kind of said a lot clearer than what I was trying to say. But I remember after wanting to be a superintendent for a large company here in Portland, I won't say the name, I finally got that break where I was able to meet one of the principals of the company, of this large construction company, commercial company here in Portland. And we had met when I was working for a nonprofit organization. And he had told my boss if Aser wants to do something different, or if he leaves here, please let me know. I'd like to hire him, because we had a good relationship and he respected me and I respected him. He was kind of like my mentor. So when I quit, the boss told me, hey, you want to give so and so a call? He'll be interested in hiring you. So I did. And he said, come on down. And he gave me a tour of the building downtown Portland, and he was just excited. He introduced me to the owner of the company. There, he was excited. Everybody was excited. I was happy to end up in a big company as a superintendent, and so I was feeling pretty good. And they got me a job. to run, and they knew I can do it well. They were very confident that I can do it well, and so I was feeling pretty comfortable. And I went to the assistant project manager, and I was asking her to help me put some packages together for some subcontractors. And so, I was saying it in a polite way. I'm just saying, that's her job. That's what she's there for. And she was upset, or I should say upset. She was just kind of like not too excited about getting orders from a black guy, and I'm the first guy there for this company. And she said, I just want to let you know we didn't hire you because of your skill. Don't feel like you're there yet. So and so, the person that hired me, he was in a meeting and he got, attaboy, pat on his shoulder or his back for finding you so we can add you to the number. But don't think it's because of your skill. It's like, sheesh, I was feeling
Wow.
pretty good. I was thinking, like, hey, I finally got a company that will hire me for my skill, and I'm going to do well. And I knew I wouldn't let them down. They'll be happy with me. And then this lady had to say that. And I'm thinking, oh, man, now I got to dodge around this. So then what I found out was not only her, but my direct supervisor that wasn't a part of hiring me was pretty pissed when I was introduced to him by the VP of the company saying, hey, we just hired him, and can you give him a tour and show him for the next couple of days, take him around and show him our sites, introduce him to the other superintendents. And that was like one of my worst days in construction, because this guy that didn't care about me, I found out he was pretty racist. I was hauling around in his SUV. He was taking me from job to job. And every time we stopped to meet up with the superintendent, and when he introduced me to them, they would kind of like have that weird look. It's like, how did this happen? I didn't think we were hiring. Aren't we slow right now? And then they'll say, well, management, they can do whatever they want. And so everywhere I went, we visited about within a 50-mile radius, we visited about 6, 7 jobs. And everywhere we went, the guy kept on saying, hey, I want you to meet this guy. We just hired him. He's a superintendent. And they were like, whoa, 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 what's going on here? Where did he come from? It's like, does he even know what he's doing? And, and the guy's like, oh, management. And eventually he's part of the reason I left the company after 4 years, because it was hell from
Yeah.
that day on. They didn't make it easy for me. They would short me manpower, and they expect me to run the job and do all the cleanup and all the framing and all, not framing as a general as a subcontractor, but just all, putting the fence up or setting up the
Handrail, all
trailer,
that stuff.
any
Yeah.
of this little miscellaneous stuff that most people will have a laborer and a carpenter hang out with them. I had to do that myself, put up the sign by myself. And the guy told me, in our company, sink or swim. Don't expect any of us to come and help you, so you're on your own. And I'm like, bring on a challenge. I'll do it. And I did well. It's just I got treated pretty crappy, and then it got to my head after a while, and I had to quit after a near miss accident when I was going to work one day, and I was just so mentally just my head was full of all these conversations, all these comments, and all this stuff. It's just like echoing and static in my brain. I went early in the morning. I was heading to work. And I went through a red light and almost wiped out a family in a
Oh,
small
Jesus
little
Christ.
car. And that was the last straw. I thought, I'm losing it. I gotta quit. This is, and I don't drink. I don't smoke. I was in okay mindset. It's just all the stuff got to my head, and I was just so focused on that I couldn't even see straight. And that's when I decided 4 years was enough. So there's stuff that happens, but at the same time, going back to what you're saying about having this African American group, for me, it was not to have a session where people will start bad mouthing or sharing their experiences. It was like I kind of survived. I kind of was a good carpenter, I was a good foreman, I was a good superintendent, I was a good project manager, I was a good contractor. And I'm just saying that I'm not that super good, but at least I can hold my own weight. I can
Yeah, for
get
sure.
things done. And a lot of people have told me you do it well. It's just I didn't want. I felt like I set a good example of a black man in the construction trade that I can hold my weight. I can do a good job. I didn't want another African American to come on board with not with just saggy pants, or the belt is hasn't been cinched up tight enough to where the belts are down to the guy's knees. So for me, it's like, dude, you don't look comfortable. You don't look like you're owning this belt of yours. You look like you borrowed it from somebody that's 10 times your size. And so when I see stuff like that, I can't keep quiet. I'm a proud black man, and I want us to represent well. I want people to know we can do it. So when I see that, I want to reach and say, hey, buddy, let me help you. Let me tighten that up for you. You need to raise that up. You need to do this. You need to do that. And it's not to insult the person, but to say, in order to survive in this trade, you got to be on top of it. You got to dress right, look right, talk right, the way you hold your tools, the way you move your tools around. What side of the bag do you have your speed square, your pencil, your tape? You can't spend too much time kind of looking through your bags trying to find what you want. You got to be able to like pull it out. So
For sure.
for me, this group that you and I have been talking about, and you and I may have had different vision or dreams, but for me, it was as an instructor is to show how to dress, how to walk, how to talk, how to maneuver, and how to solve problems, and that kind of stuff. I just want to be there to say, this is what I did, this is how I survived 4 years, and I just want to pass that on to you. It's not like, yeah, poor us, this is not for us, not that. It's not because of that. That's what I wanted to say.
I think we have some of the same ideas as far as like where we wanted the direction of the club to go. I think we have different views on as far as like, you're a proud black man. I think I'm more of the mindset of like I'm a man that happens to be black, so like I don't really have a lot of pride in like my race. I know that's kind of weird to say, but that's been kind of certain that kind of mindset I've been going through, like the changes as I've been reading and thinking about it. But I do think that, like I said before, I wanted a program that would help people who, kind of a crash course, right, of like the trades of like learning all the tools, like how to change like a saw, how to put in a sawzall blade, how to change
Mm-hmm.
a portaband, all these things, like a crash course, right? So it would help anybody who hasn't been in the trades. But guess what? That's going to disproportionately help black people because they're the ones that are least likely to have, like I said, a father in the trades before, or an uncle, or someone who they can, call on. And if they are struggling, you know, they would have, it'd be a resource to them. But also, like, there's also a lot of white people who never had a family member in the trades, or maybe a Asian person or a woman. Like, I think if we're a resource to everybody, I think that hits a little bit differently, and I think it's less dividing. You know what I mean? Less divisive because everybody feels like they're included. They might not even be involved in it, but at least they know that they're not, they're not like sectioned off, like, because I think once you start putting barriers where you say like this is only for us, then people start looking at it weird, especially like when our union dues are going into it, you know what I mean, like when it's a collective thing, but then we're sectioning off parts of it. It's like if you want something that's pretty much only predominantly black, then I think it's probably better if you start your own company, you know what I mean, because then that way you can have it exactly how you want it. You know what I mean? But if you're gonna take money from the collective, I think it should be something that does help the collective. But at the same time, like I said, the program was set forward to help anybody who didn't know what they were doing, as far as like you said, how to set their tool bags up. I think moving forward, I'm going to do a couple of videos of like how to set your tool bags up, what tools you need when you first start off, what tools you should have in your truck. So if you do lose a hammer, you have another one in your truck. If you do lose a tape measure, you have another one in your truck. Speed square, all these things, so that you don't have to go through the same slings and arrows that I had to when I made mistakes. And the same way with you, I think you have a huge vast amount of knowledge, and also you were like a pioneer, right? Like the people who are the first to do things are gonna have it the roughest, right? Like you're gonna take all the slings and arrows for the people that are coming behind you. And I think that because you went through some of the trials and tribulations, um you deserve our respect, and I'm going to listen to you whatever you say, like, as far as like your experiences. But I think that people that are growing up now aren't experiencing the same level of adversity, so I think that they need to also like update their software. Like, you don't have it as hard as some people that first started off, right? Things aren't the best, they're not perfect, but they are getting better. So your job is to now carry the torch to the next generation, not to hold people back and tell people, oh, well, don't join now because things are still bad. And it's like, that doesn't help anybody. Like, if your program, if our little club is just us talking amongst each other and we're just like pretty much bashing people or like constantly like just spewing out like what we don't like about the union. Like, if we don't like the union and we're making as much money as we are and we're having the experiences that we are, how are we going to get people that look like us to join? Right? They're not going to do it. So you have to be the change you want to see. So if you want to um see more people that look like you, whether it be your family members or people in your community that are impoverished, how about you treat the job with some respect and show some gratitude, and then they might see, well, hold on, he did something that no one else has done. I can follow his footsteps. He looks happy. He has a nice car. He has a nice house. He's able to provide for his family. They can go on vacations. Let's speak more about the positives instead of the negatives, because when you speak up of the negatives, now people are kind of stuck on like, well, I'm not going to do that because he's not happy with it and he's been doing it for 10 years. So why would I even start? Like, that doesn't help anybody. You know what I mean?